Oh, it is recording. Joey, welcome. It's a pleasure to
Well,
meet you, man. We've been following each other on Twitter for about 2 or 3 months. I believe so, yeah, like a month or two, I don't know.
yeah,
And I saw your journey on Twitter and I fell in love with it. And now I'm I want to interview you, understand a little bit more about you. So Joey right now is on Twitter.
mhm,
He is teaching people how to improve their life. He calls himself the improvement geek. And it's funny. It's funny because it is true. You
mhm.
are like a tech geek and you work with coding and stuff like that. And you're also working on your own physical development and improving your life in a way that is not common. And I would like to get started with that the uncommon part of how you became Joey, the how we call you the improvement geek. So
Mhm.
how did everything get started? Tell me a little bit about your childhood and your and all your process to become who you are right now.
Sure. So the story started when I was growing up. My mom was a traveling nurse, and so I live in the United States, and she would get short-term contracts from in place to place, and we would constantly be moving. So my parents decided to not put me in school and homeschool me, but I wasn't officially homeschooled. Now in America, that's a pretty regulated process, but they basically got me a library card, and I listened to music, and that was pretty much my life for a really long time.
How did you learn to read, man?
My parents taught me, but it was just something that I love to do. I grew up on Harry Potter, Animorphs, Goosebumps, all those things that
Oh man,
all the
I
kids
read
love.
Goosebumps when I was a kid. It takes me so. I love the ones that you could choose your
Mhm.
path. Oh
Choose your
man, that
own
was
adventure.
fun.
Yep.
That was fun. So you started going to the library, and what happened next?
So I absolutely fell in love with reading, and reading was the thing that really helped me get through the later stages of my life. But I'll get to that in a
Uh-huh.
second. So when I was 16, I got into World of Warcraft, a huge online game, or at least it used to be, and I got really addicted. I developed a social circle. I was playing every day. It got to the point where I was playing 16 hours a day, and I also gained
So
a
you
lot of
only
weight.
slept, ate, and play World of
Yep.
Warcraft.
Yeah, I didn't go outside. I didn't have friends. I hung out with my mom. I got a cat, and that was my life every day.
You were like the stereotypical guy that only wasted his time playing games.
I felt like I was being productive, so I had a lot of friends in World of Warcraft, and we would be raiding, so there'd be 20 to 40 of us getting together at specified times for hours, 3 or 4 days a week,
Uh-huh.
and it wound up being a great experience for me because I
Did you
learned a
ever
ton of
met
useful
some of
skills.
these people, like outside of the digital realm?
Because of the rise of social media, I got to know them better, but we would be
Uh-huh.
on Discord and stuff like that. So there were several that I got to be really good friends with and still talk to today.
Nice, nice. So keep telling me, you got addicted to World of Warcraft. You played 16 hours a day. What happened that you stopped playing and you started focusing on other stuff?
So back when I was growing up, my family was still really poor, and there was a
Mhm.
time where when I was about 15, we were living at a flea market in a camper trailer, and I was the only person in my family that was working at the time. At 15 years old, I was the breadwinner for the family, making about $200 a week. And then while I was
What did
playing
you
the
do
work,
to earn that money?
I was a groundskeeper, so I would take out the trash, I would open and close the building every day, things like that.
Hmm. Nice.
And
What
then
else?
around when I was 20, I had a sudden realization that I wanted better for myself. So, because of not having much money and because I gotten
Hmm.
really unhealthy due to playing World of Warcraft all day, I started thinking about what I could do to change my future and get myself out of the situation I was in.
To be more
And
specific, what would you call more unhealthy? Because that could mean a lot of things, you know?
right. So I got up to over 370 pounds. I was pre-diabetic and I had hypogonadism, which is critically low testosterone because of my weight. It got to the point where going outside, I lived in Florida at the time, which has really hot and humid summers. It got to the point where I couldn't really go outside and walk because it was just so uncomfortable for me.
How so?
Just not being able to breathe, a lot of stress on my legs and joints and things like that. I
Mm-hmm.
was very insecure because I felt like people were looking at me because of my weight and because I was struggling with exercising. It was just
Okay.
easier to stay inside and stay in the world of Warcraft.
Okay. And how did you break that pattern of staying home every day? Because as you said, you felt uncomfortable going out.
Mhm.
You didn't like to walk because at least that I believe that because you said like you couldn't breathe correctly when you
Yep.
were walking around and you felt uncomfortable because you felt like people were like thinking badly about you, let's say.
Yeah.
How did you break that pattern and started getting yourself back together?
Over time, I had this feeling of being uncomfortable with myself, and then also
Mm-hmm.
with the stuff my doctor was telling me, becoming worried about my future, about becoming
Mm-hmm.
diabetic and things like that. So I eventually was able to push myself to keep doing those things despite how uncomfortable they were and
Mm-hmm.
how little I knew about the entire process. And over time, as things started getting better, I started getting more confident. The walks started getting easier. And I
Nice.
really fed off of the progress that I made. And then compound interest applied to that. As things got easier, I would do it more. And as I did it more, things got easier and I made more progress. So it's just all about getting past that initial lack of belief in myself, and
Mm-hmm.
then also realizing that it's going to take a while, and also realizing that there was going to be bad days where I didn't feel like doing it, but I stuck with it as best I could and started seeing real progress.
How long did it took you to go to a weight where you felt more comfortable?
It was up and down for me. So
Mm-hmm.
again, that
Mm-hmm.
was about 10 years ago, and I lost a lot of weight pretty quickly. I lost around 117 pounds in about 17 months. I remember one picture that I put on Facebook. But because I worked really hard on the goal of losing weight instead of building systems and processes for life underneath that, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of fell back into my old ways, especially when I started college. So I started college at 22,
Mm-hmm.
and college was really stressful for me because I didn't know a whole lot due to my schooling, lack thereof. I didn't have social skills outside of World of Warcraft, and I'm really bad about stress eating and bored eating. So when I started college, I
Oh,
gained
that's
a
a
bunch of
big thing, man. Stress
yeah,
eating and bored eating. To
yeah,
me, the bored eating was a big thing, man. I don't get bored enough to eat. But before I like started taking my life like
yeah,
more seriously, I would eat everything that was in front of me, man. Like cornflakes, milk, all everything that was not good for. Well,
mhm,
milk could be good for me, but everything that was not good for me, Doritos,
yeah,
Coca Cola, all of that shit, everything because of the stress. Stress eating is a
yeah,
big thing, man, and also bored eating, bored eating.
yeah.
So, sorry for I interrupted you, man. But I just find myself in your story.
Right. Well, that's the main reason why I tell that story, but I'll get to the why of why I tell my
Uh-huh.
story. So there were two big threads up until this point of starting college. I wanted to get healthier and lead a healthier life and live longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to become more successful, growing from such a scarce place with my family and the flea market and all that. I had a real bad struggle with the scarcity mindset. And I got to the point where I didn't really want to spend money on anything. So I set my sights really high, and I wanted to become a computer engineer. And I wanted to go to the best engineering school, one of the best in the world, but the best in the Southeast United States, which is Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia. So I went to a small community college for 2 years, and then
Mm-hmm.
went to another college in another state for about a year, and then transferred to Georgia Tech in 2016. And it was really tough. It was very trying and challenging, but I grew from the experience. And then I graduated at the end of 2018 and started my career as a programmer.
Now, how does one go from being, well, we cannot call homeschooling to what you lived through because
Hmm.
There's like a process. I've seen some homeschooling, and it's beautiful, man. I've seen like the communities, all the mothers
Yeah.
teaching other kids and inviting other people. So when I hear homeschooling, I used to believe that it was just your parents teaching you stuff.
Yeah.
And then I dug a little bit deeper, and it's actually something that it's well done, man.
Yep.
Like you
Yes.
have the community, all the community coming together.
Yep.
So maybe calling what happened to you homeschooling is not like the correct word,
No,
but we
not at
don't
all.
have we don't have something for that. But how did these colleges accept you? How does that work? You didn't go to school, so
Right.
you of course you read and your parents taught you something, but how did you get the credentials to get inside college?
So you're exactly right, but I always call what I went through as unofficially homeschooled, and then
Uh-huh.
90% of the time I say that people are like, "Wait, what's that mean?" And then I explain. But what I did is here in the States, there's something called a GED, a General Equivalency Diploma,
Hmm.
which is a test. And if you pass it, you get a certificate that is legally equivalent to a high school diploma. So when I was
Oh.
19, you can do it after 18. So when I was 19, I studied for that and went and took it. Completely bombed the math section, but I had read so much, I made up for it with the English section. And then another thing I'm sure you've heard of is the SAT, which is a test that everybody takes before they go to college. I
Hmm.
did pretty well on that. Again, still bombed the math section, but got into community college. And then I know a lot of people hate on college, but to me, that was the safest play in a way. It would lead to a job going into engineering. So I put everything that I had into college. So I wound up graduating with a 4.0 from the community college I went to, and then did pretty well at the next college. And I guess Georgia Tech liked my story. They liked my path from my application. So they accepted me. Sometimes I wonder how I got into Georgia Tech, to be
Man,
honest.
that's a crazy story, man. Going from unofficially
Yeah.
homeschool to not knowing math and
Hmm.
graduating with the you work in tech,
Yep.
and even though programming, there's a level of programming that doesn't require math per
Hmm.
se. It requires a
Yeah.
lot of logic,
Right.
but people have this misconception that programming you need to know you need to be great at math to
Right.
program. I'm not good at math. It's not because I'm not good. It's just I
Yeah.
don't like it. I
Right.
never liked it. I never found a utility for my life, even though it's very useful for different domains of life. But for
Yeah.
what I do, it's not. It's just I just need to add, subtract, and divide.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Um, and I learned how to program, and I don't need to. I don't need. I didn't need math that much
Right.
to understand what was happening. So um, I believe you went through that too when you discovered that programming is not about math per se.
Yep.
What happened when you got inside your you have a science degree, a computer science degree,
Yeah. Computer engineering. It's
computer
a
engineering,
combination of electrical engineering and computer science.
a lot of physics, I believe.
Yep. A lot of physics and a lot of mathematics that I've never used since. But the reason why they have so much math in those curriculums is, again, like you said, it's
Logic.
somewhat related, but it's not used. Math teaches
Hmm.
you logic, and
Hmm.
that's the foundation of mathematics and programming. So again, I mean, as a web developer, I don't really need to know mathematics, advanced mathematics, but being able to get that as I went along helped me as I started learning programming.
So you jumped into this career
Hmm.
having a having no background in math or even having like a formal schooling. How was that process to get adapted to being surrounded by people that you have never met? How was that process of getting, let's say, somewhat comfortable around people who, who maybe didn't even like you? Who knows?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So how was that process? Because you got into college at 22,
Hmm.
and so you spent almost a quarter of a century
Yep.
inside your home.
Hmm.
without talking to a lot of people. And you told me you lack the social skills.
Yep.
So how was that process for you?
It was initially challenging, but the
How
biggest thing
so?
that well, imposter syndrome is a big thing, especially for me, because I was thinking about all those things in the back of my head. And I was thinking that going to Georgia Tech was going to be really hard and that I wasn't going to make it and I wasn't going to get along with people. And I had to break myself out of that imposter syndrome. I had to break myself out of my limiting beliefs and think that, okay, I must be good enough to be in college and to be at Georgia
Mhm.
Tech because I got accepted and I've been passing my classes. I must be good enough to be hired on as a junior software engineer because I was interviewed by some very smart people and they saw something in me. And then just accepting the fact that I needed to ask a lot of questions and, not be afraid of, you know, asking a so-called stupid question. A big mistake that I myself and a lot of other people starting out in anything assume is that, yeah, like you said, you're surrounded by a lot of smart people that are experienced, but you have to separate intelligence and smarts from experience. Especially with software engineering, that's a really big thing. The people around you are really experienced. That doesn't mean that they're smarter than you. So if you stick with it and you put in the time and ask questions and learn, you'll be like them or maybe even better.
That's a deep realization that like people who like to learn understand very very early in their learning career. Let's call it like that. I
Yeah.
understood that asking dumb questions is just part and parcel of learning anything.
Yep.
I always tell people that when they tell me like, hey, how did you get that client, or how did you get to contact some people on social media that have a huge audience or whatever, and I always tell them I'm not afraid of asking dumb questions.
Hmm.
And usually people reply to my dumb questions. And then they say, hey, let's get in touch. And
Yep.
then we do something together, we make money together,
Hmm.
and people notice that. So I believe that some of my growth, at least in what I do on Twitter and social media, is in part because I don't mind asking stupid, what other people might think is stupid questions. Whatever. I remember talking with one friend from Twitter, and he told me like thinking back of some of the questions that I asked him, like he told me like, why the hell are you asking me that? He confessed me like why is this guy's even asking me these kind of questions? What does he want? I don't mind asking questions. I will not tell you which question I asked, but at the end of the day, we ended up working together. All
Hmm.
because I just said, okay, let's. Here's my question. What do you think about X, Y, or Z? What do you think we work together on this kind of things? And it's all about not only also asking like dumb questions, it's all about asking the correct dumb question. Because let me tell you something. When people, I believe you've been getting some DMs from people.
Hmm.
You see the kind of questions that they ask.
Yep.
I usually get the following question: Dear sir, how do you make money online?
Hmm.
That's okay. That's a stupid question. It serves no purpose.
Right.
Now, but if you come to me and tell me, look, I'm trying to create X, Y, or Z, and
Hmm.
I'm struggling with this part of that creation process. Do you think I should do X, or do you think I should do Y?
Yeah.
That's a better question.
Hmm.
That's a better question. It's a dumb question, but it's a better formulated question. So it's
It
not
shows
only
initiative.
it's not only the question, it's how you ask the question,
Hmm.
which is the most important part. And in regards to the improvement side of what you do, I believe asking these questions are a powerful way to dig deep within.
Hmm.
So you told me like you were able to break out of that imposter syndrome, and you
Hmm.
were able to get over some of your fears of being judged and stuff like that. Which questions do you usually ask yourself to break away from those silly thoughts that sometimes we as human have?
I ask myself, what's actually the worst case scenario in this situation? I ask myself, if I raise my hand in class, are people actually going to laugh at me, or is someone else going to learn,
They
or is
usually
someone else?
get pissed because they
Yeah,
don't. They just want to go outside.
yeah,
They don't want
exactly.
people asking questions just to roll over the class.
Yeah. If I ask someone on my team a question to clarify something or to learn something,
Hmm.
are they going to get upset with me and result in me getting fired or something? Or much more likely, are they going to be happy to help me and then be thankful that I was willing to put myself out there and approach them and ask for help when I needed it?
Nice, nice. So asking questions has also helped you achieve the
Mm,
things that you've done. So that said, you posted a picture some time ago on your
mhm,
Twitter account that in which you have
mhm.
a before and after picture of yourself. How you
Yep.
went from being 300 something pounds to being under 150, I believe. 100, how many? 200 something?
It was one night,
Um, 190, which is good. How much? How tall are you?
6'1".
That's that's a great weight for that height. So you're a tall guy. So I still wonder, how does that happen? How does someone get to that weight size and then just say, screw this. I want to get myself back together. I want to become fit. I want to live longer.
Mhm.
What was the tipping point, the breaking point in your life where you said, no, this has to stop?
I It was a moment when I broke my self-limiting beliefs and started believing that it was actually possible. You
How
know,
old were you when that happened?
I was about 21.
So you were about to hop into college.
Hmm.
So all that process of uh, getting to college and also getting fit happened all together, basically.
Yeah, as I said, it was the big two threads. It was being ambitious and wanting a better future for myself and
Mhm.
my future family, of course, and then also wanting to improve my health so I could live longer and enjoy that family when that happens one day.
So since you've been in both sides of the, let's call it, spectrum, being
Hmm.
overweight and being fit, let's
Right.
call it like that. What's the main difference in regards to your mood and in regards to how you feel about yourself?
When I started improving, I noticed that I started feeling more proud of myself. I was more confident and I was more secure.
Okay.
And again, it's a self-propagating cycle where the more effort I put in and the more I tried, the more progress I made and the better things got. So it quickly accelerated from there. And looking back over those pictures, seeing that change, the before and after, it has made me realize that I could really do anything that I wanted to. That was a big thing that got me through the tough times in college, was thinking, I've transformed myself physically. So I have what it takes in me to overcome the challenge of college and the challenge of getting a good job and being successful in that and anything else.
That's a great realization that people who achieve what they want realize. I was reading something that my friend Larry Moore posted some days ago. It's a book about, he calls it the four confidences.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the different, in his opinion, the four main types of confidence that someone has: confidence in the past, confidence in the process, confidence in the learning, and confidence in something else. I forgot. And he lays a very well thought case on how confidence in the past can help you become more confident of the things that you're doing in the present.
Mm-hmm.
So if you win on something, let's say you started working out and you saw that
Yep.
you dropped 100 pounds in
Mm-hmm.
17 months, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. Um, you can take that confidence that you developed through winning in that, let's say, domain of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and transfer it to a new domain.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that that happened to you when you started seeing your weight going down and then you were like struggling at college and you said to yourself, well, I was able to drop my weight. I was able to become more active. Now I need to use this confidence that I gained here with my body and making it more fit to learn how to code, to, ace all the tests and become like a good student. Did you feel something like that throughout your process?
Oh, 100%. So a common phrase is that mindset is everything. And I share my story so publicly to be a living example of how mindset really is everything. It's exactly like you just described. When I started finally improving my health, which is something that for a long time I saw as insurmountable and impossible. When I started actually making progress, something clicked in my head where, again, if I could do that, then I could do anything as long as I actually put in the effort and the time and stuck with it.
Mm-hmm. Did you struggle at first when you got
Of course.
started?
Yes. Yeah, I
How
definitely
did
struggled.
you beat that struggle?
So two things: I believed in the process and believed that if I kept up, pushed through the bad days and, took the failure and learned from it and came back tomorrow and tried again, that it would eventually get me where I want to go. And then I knew that if I quit, I would go back to where I was and potentially get even more unhealthy. Or if I dropped out of college, that I would go back to playing World of Warcraft all day. I mean, it was an ambitious dedication to the life that I wanted to have, and realizing that if I let things go for too long, if I fell off the wagon, that wouldn't be achievable, and I just go back to where I was.
And what did you do on the days that you felt that this is too hard? I just want to quit. Screw this. I just go back to my old ways. How do you overcome those days, those feelings of just throwing the towel?
I talked to my mom about that a lot. So her and we have a really small family. So we would talk about the things that I was feeling, and she was very supportive. I'm the type of person where I really like talking about things that are bothering me. I mean, I still talk to her almost every day, and we talk about things going on in my life. So talking about it and processing your feelings about, man, this really isn't working out, or disappointment in yourself is a really big one. People tie their self-worth to things like that. And that's a big mistake because, just because you miss a day doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. So the fact that
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to remind myself of that. A lot of the stuff I post on Twitter or tell other people is a reminder to me.
It's just reminders, man. It's just reminders.
I need to hear it. I make content that I need to hear today, and that the 20-year-old Joey needed to hear then, because people that are struggling with the things that I did back then and that I still am are the people that I can best help. So I really need to put myself down on that.
I call that being your own niche. Some people tell me like, hey, how do you grow your Twitter account? How do you grow your social media account? How do you make money with Twitter? And how do you monetize your audience? And should I choose a niche? Should I be talking about 2 or 3 things? And I always tell them like, man, you are your niche. Your story, what makes you you. And by revealing part of your story, you inspire other people to reach out to you, to follow you, to like your stuff, to retweet your stuff, to share your stuff with other people. And it's part of and this translates to anything, to any social media or to any thing outside of social media. If you are inspiring people, if you are educating people, meaning teaching them how to do something, and that's something that should be something that you already know how to do, and you are entertaining people, you have the winning formula. You just need to entertain, educate, and inspire.
Right.
You start by telling your story. Your story is a powerful story. It's just a hero's journey. You went from being overweight. You went from being pre-diabetic. You went from being afraid of and connecting with other people outside of your little bubble of World of Warcraft to actually thriving against a lot of odds. Homes, technically, homeschool? Technically not. I don't know how to say it because that's not homeschooling. And I don't want to take a dump on homeschooling because that's a different way to approach life, and it's a beautiful way. You were somewhat homeschooled, and you went from that to achieving what a lot of people only dream about.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great and steady job. You were able to become an engineer. You were able to graduate from great universities. You were able to learn different coding languages. I saw your stuff on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. You know how to code on what? C#, Python. What else? I don't know how many other programming languages you know how to code, and you're a full stack engineer. Let's call it like that. And so for people who don't understand what a full stack engineer is, could you explain that to them? For them to understand how big is your skill set when you call yourself a full stack engineer?
So I would say a good example would be social media websites. We'll take Facebook, for example. Now, everything that you see and interact with, that's called the front end of the stack. And then everything that you don't see, like the databases and the relationships and the logic behind how a lot of those things work, what they suggest to you, for example, that's governed by what's called the back end of the stack. So a lot of people focus on one or the other typically, and they get really deep into that. But my role is a bit more high level, so I get to go into both and really see how those web applications work from the full stack.
That requires a lot of knowledge, not only on coding, but also user experience and how people interact with the computer. Because, okay, we are right now in 2020, and everybody knows that if you click on that button, something happens.
Yep.
But that was not the case 10, 15 years ago. People didn't understand. It took a lot of time for people to get it. And today we still have a lot of technical issues because a button doesn't have the correct name. Things as simple as just naming the button is part of the front end stack. But that's like the easy part.
Yep.
That's like the easy part. But I don't want to get too technical, man. I worked for 10 years in the web design business. Then I went to the banking business, always working in the front end. I also had a peek in the back end, though I never laid my hands on that.
Yeah.
And I have very bad memories of that time. So I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the future, man. I want to talk about the future. So let's say that someone wants to get started with any new habit, any new endeavor, any new enterprise, any new experiment. Let's call it experiment because I believe it's a new journey. Let's call it a new journey. What would be your advice to anyone who's starting out a new journey? And we could use your own journey of getting fit. What you would advise someone who's struggling to get started?
Tip number one is believe in yourself. Absolutely. I know that gets thrown around. It's motivational. It's a platitude. It's a cliche. But believe me, as someone who's also studied psychology and neuroscience and how that relates to self-improvement, that is the most important part. If you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be so much harder for you to actually make any progress on that thing. So
someone goes from thinking I suck to, okay, at least I believe I can achieve that little thing.
Positive affirmations. That's something that a lot of people don't actually believe in, but positive affirmations actually do have a psychological effect on how you think and how your mindset is. So every time that someone tells themselves, I can't do it, I'm not smart enough, I could never learn math, I could never become an engineer, I can never get in shape. The more that you say that to yourself, the more your unconscious accepts, okay, that must be true. And then you start acting in accordance with that. So people that are always thinking that way are kind of stuck in a rut. So what you have to do is start intentionally, consciously telling yourself every single day that I can do this. I can do insert thing here that I want to do. And again, It's like programming a computer, which is relevant. It's going to reprogram your
We
unconscious.
are like a computer. I
Yeah,
believe we
we
can
are.
program ourselves to achieve a lot of things
Yeah, computers were.
using what you call affirmations. I don't use affirmations, let's say,
Mhm,
but I do use the positive self-talk, which some people might say so an affirmation.
mhm,
I just don't see it like that.
yeah,
But they do work, and it's part of the persuasion process. In
yep,
persuasion, you have something called repetition.
mhm,
When you repeat something many times,
yep,
people tend to believe that thing. And
yep,
if you repeat yourself like, okay, this is something I can achieve, this is something I can do, or at least not think in a negative way about that thing that you're trying to achieve or accomplish, you're actually doing a great service for yourself. You're
mhm,
being of it makes the look, we are here in this earth, and everything is surrounded by pain, and everything is painful, and all we can do is reduce the pain.
mhm,
So why not start to believe in yourself to start reducing that pain?
yep,
Because man, life isn't fair.
yep,
We're gonna die someday.
mhm,
We're gonna die someday. But some a great friend of my wife's parents died a couple of days ago, just like that. He went into the hospital. He had some stuff. He died from a heart attack, not
wow,
COVID related. Also, someone who was in my wife's family for like a friend, also a friend, died of COVID the other day. He was like 70 something years old.
mhm,
So at the end of the day, that it's not fair because they were like really good people. Good people are dying every day. It's
mhm,
unfair, but it's part of life. And all we can do is reduce the stress and the anxiety and the pain, but by at least starting with improving ourselves. And that starts here, as you said, in the mind. Mindset is everything. And as you said, this is a cliche. Believing in yourself is like a dumb, let's call it advice, but it
yep,
works. It works. You have two choices. You can either believe in yourself or you don't.
right,
Why choose hard mode, not
mhm,
believing in yourself, when you can use easy mode, believing in yourself,
right,
using like game terminology, easy mode and
mhm,
hard mode. So we have one advice for people who are starting out: start believing in yourself. And we
mhm.
already learned how to at least start to get that mindset in order. What else should someone who is trying to lose weight or achieving a new goal that's really hard to achieve should be doing? What other advice you have?
The second thing they should do is figure out what they want to do, be it get healthier or to go to college or to build an online business, whatever they want to do, figure out a bit of their ideal life and what that looks like, and then reverse engineer it. So go to Google and simply type in, how do I X? And then come up with a plan on how to do that. And then the third thing would be start executing, start following through with the process, and understand that it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be failure. But it's part of the process. It's something that everyone deals with. And it's not about the failures, it's about how you respond to those failures. You can either, you know, like back when I was 20 and I would go walk and it was really difficult for me. What if I said, this sucks and I'm done? Then may not have ever changed. But I learned from those failures and I went back out the next day. Maybe I didn't go walk in jeans like I did sometime. Maybe I would put shorts on, or maybe I would go to a different part of the day or something. So just learning from the process and being persistent on your process and refining and iterating and getting better is how you achieve higher and higher levels in life.
Persistence. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot.
Mhm.
But it's really hard to develop. Being persistent, it's really hard to develop because of the failure.
Mhm.
Because of failure is it's just part of life, and
Yep.
it's certainly more probable that you will fail.
Mhm. Yep.
It's easier to fail than to achieve something. So sticking to your goals and sticking to your routines and your habits, and being persistent or consistent, which is basically the same thing in this context, it's hard to achieve. It's really hard. I consider myself disciplined enough, enough to achieve whatever success I've been able to achieve the last couple of years. But I still lack the persistence, because let me tell you a little bit of myself, that I don't talk too much about myself on my social media, but on podcasts is a little bit different because I can explain myself. I consider I'm one of these people that like creating and gets bored really fast. I like to it's like I'm like a grenade, you know. You're like, you just throw it and you do one use. That's how I try to approach most of the things that I do. I create it once, and that's it. That's my grenade, and I get bored of it really fast. So persistence, it's something that I usually struggle with. I'm quite amazed that I've been able to persist for the last couple of years, at least on Twitter, and keep tweeting. And I've been tweeting daily for the last 2 years. I've only missed like 20 days maybe in total in 2 years, which it's just 20 days in 2 years, almost 3 years. So persistent is something, it's not something that is particular. I'm not particularly fond of persistent because I get bored about things really fast. Example, I go to the gym for 4 or 5 months. I get what I want. I get bored. Screw it. And then I go back to skinny Jose. Right now, I'm trying to become brose, how some people call me on Twitter because I posted like a really, when I was like huge, 17-inch arms and like big chest and Hulk. And now I'm just like regular Jose, 185 pounds, 6'4", 6'3". So I'm not a tall guy, and I don't have a lot of weight. So it makes me look skinnier. So persistence is not something that I don't consider myself persistent, at least in some domains of my life, most of domains of my life. The things that I've been able to be consistent on is my web design stuff, my business part. I like the making money thing. So that's something I've become very persistent and consistent because I like, it's not only about the money, man, because if it were only about the money, people would just screw this guy. This guy's only for the money. It's also delivering the value and understanding that people will purchase from you again if you deliver on your promises. So for someone like me, who is able to be consistent and persistent in some parts of their life, but are not able to transfer that persistence into other domains of their life. My case, going to the gym. What would you say?
So I would say, from what you just told me, at least for the online business that you built for yourself, you have been persistent. So, but from a higher level. So a key part of persistence that a lot of people don't talk about is the adaptability side of persistence. So you've been adaptable. So you start doing something and then you realize, oh, hey, I want to do something new, or I need to do something new. And then you do that thing. So you adapt to your desires and the goals that you have for yourself. As far as your potential lack of persistence with going to the gym, I believe that discipline and persistence can be automated through habits. So it really comes down to habits. As long as you really make going to the gym a habit and part of your life, rather than focusing on becoming brose or getting swole or losing weight on the other side of the spectrum.
Oh, brose, that always gets me, man.
When you just focus on the system, we all know James Clear when he said that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It's not about, I want to reach 180 pounds, like I used to say to myself. It's all about creating a system for life, or for as long as it serves you, to keep doing the things that you need to be doing. So it takes the thing that you want being important enough to you, and then you making the habit and the routine of going to the gym and eating right rewarding enough for you to keep doing them several times a week after week, and month after month.
That's the key, the reward. This is something I've understood from myself. when I become brose and I'm like huge and I have the big biceps and the big pecs and stuff like that, which for me, it's easy to go back because, you know, your muscle like remembers everything and it goes back really it gets big really fast once you get big once. It's amazing. It's just amazing. The body is just an amazing system. Something I've realized about going to the gym is that when I'm already at that point, when I say like, okay, I'm actually looking at a strong person in the mirror. When I look at myself, okay, you look strong and you look huge. That's when the reward goes away of going to the gym. And let me explain a little bit more because I'm not being precise enough. At least I don't think I am. When I go to the gym, I feel good. But once I'm at a level when I'm like lifting really heavy weights, it doesn't become something that I enjoy. You know, putting 3 plates in each size behind your back and doing a squat, that is painful. No matter who you are, no matter how accustomed or you're used to that, that is painful. That hurts. No matter how big or how strong you are. So that removes my incentives, my reward of going to the gym. And I realized that. That's why I've kept most of my weights to some point, not more than that, because it just becomes a burden and I don't like that. So that's one of the main reasons why I usually like stop going to the gym. Okay, this is too heavy. I do not like this. I don't want to become the next Mr. Olympia. I just want to become fit. So I want to talk about system and developing systems that you actually enjoy, which is something, it's mandatory. If you're not enjoying the process, you will quit.
It is.
So I long realized that I'm just going to the gym to become like fit and just that. Looking good in the mirror, not good enough, and feeling good. So I'm not into heavy weights because I don't care about that anymore. So let's say someone is they have already their system and they're struggling to keep going forward and they just find it so painful to keep that system or those habits and routine, because a system is just routines and habits and actions and the way you think all mixed together. That's it. That's a system. All the things that you do to achieve something, to achieve a goal. So goals and systems go well together. It's not, man, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I remember Scott Adams, he said like goals are for losers. And I understand why he says that. It's a great way to get attention. It's part of the persuasion process. And I also understand why some people might say, okay, you're a loser because you're not where you are. That's a way of looking at a goal. But they are not, is this how I say it, mutually exclusive? Meaning you can have both. You can have goals and you can have systems. And you can merge them and you can achieve your goals if you actually have a system that you enjoy. Back to the topic. How can someone develop a good system that they can actually enjoy? Because that's something of the improvement part that you've been talking about on Twitter.
So winners and losers have the same goals. The difference is that the winners, the ones that get to where they want to be and push beyond and continue their success, they have systems that make them successful and keep them going. So I would say one of the most important factors of sustaining an achievement is figuring out why you want the achievement. So for you, becoming brose, I would ask you, if we were having, a coaching call or just conversation like this,
that's
or
not
whatever,
a goal of mine.
Is that,
I don't care about that.
Is that something that you want to be as a permanent part of your life? Do you want to be swole and have a six-pack for years?
No.
Because if not, that's why you start having trouble when you've been doing it for a while and you get to that point, because your brain's basically like, okay, I reached my goal. Why keep doing this? If going to the gym and lifting that heavy doesn't feel good to you, as you just said, it doesn't, then the reason why you have to have a good reason why you're continuing to do it. The purpose of being brosé, for example, for years and sustaining that has to outweigh the pain of going to the gym and lifting 6 plates.
That totally makes sense. And that's why I've been able to keep persistent on my online business, because I actually enjoy providing value, and as a consequence, making money, which is not a consequence. It's a good thing. So I don't mind. I don't mind spending whatever time I have to spend. Well, this is one of my investments. These podcasts. I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy hearing out their stories, and I enjoy picking their brain. It's an hour or two of my time, but I do it because I like it. And as you said, the reward outweighs the pain that I'm going through. Because of course I could be, you cannot see it, but I have my food right there. 4 steaks, 4 tiny tenderloin steaks waiting for me for an hour there. But for me, this conversation outweighs the reward of eating the good steak that I have right here.
That's my compliment today. I'm more important than steak.
Oh, man, you're more important than a steak for the moment. So that's a good insight. You need to actually dig a little bit deeper inside your soul. Let's call it like that, and realize that the things that you want to achieve must actually be things that you want to achieve. It's not like just, oh, it's something that I would like to have. It's something that, okay, that would be nice to have a 6-pack. Is that you can actually overcome that desire of comfort, which everyone wants to be more comfortable, and go through the pain of achieving that thing. And a strong why is the answer.
And
why is the answer.
Maintaining things, maintaining an achievement is important too. So having a good body or having an online business, you have to accept the fact that to maintain that achievement, you're not done when you make a certain amount of money, unless you want to be, but you still have to maintain it and keep putting in that work. Nice.
I will clip this and I would put it everywhere, because that's a good way of framing things and thinking about long-term goals, which is where most people fail. Yeah. Because a 1-month experiment, anyone can achieve that. But thinking for the next 12 months or the next 24 months or 36 months or 10 years from now, that's where the things start getting a little bit blurry. And that's where most people fail. So in regards to long-term goals, systems are a key part of that. In your case, which are some of those long-term goals that you have that you can reveal, of course, that you don't believe, that you can believe, that you feel comfortable talking about, that you're trying to achieve right now?
So my primary focus is turning Improvement Geek and my side business into a full-time thing.
What is your side business?
So Improvement Geek is a side business, and that's, the main pillar of my brand right now is my Twitter account, where I share, things like we've discussed during this conversation, along with my personal experience. And then I've finally started productizing that. So I've created a course and taking these steps to achieve that goal. I know it's going to take a really long time, but Improvement Geek and the things that we've been talking about today are what I'm really passionate about. And it's something that I've created myself, and I've got a network of awesome people like you. And it's really just what I want to do. So being able to do that is going to take a lot of time and effort and systems and goals, but that's the primary achievement that I've been working for. And then I also have a health goal of being fit, not swole Joey or broy or anything, but just liking what I see when I look in the mirror. That's always been my goal, is just being happy with the person that I am and being secure with myself.
Broy. Well, I see you uploading a video every day of you taking a walk
Mm-hmm.
and just letting people know what you're thinking when you're just walking around your neighborhood, which is a great way to regain that regain is not the correct word. It's a great way to actually enjoy what you're doing, the
Mm-hmm.
process of losing weight, just taking some walks to think about, and also grow your Twitter account.
Yep.
So you're like killing a bird with two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting fitter.
Yep.
You're achieving that goal of your fitness goal, and
Mm-hmm.
you're also using that information to grow your Twitter account and your social media presence. That's a great way to monetize any kind of brand. You find multiple goals that you have, and you start talking about that on social media, and you
Mm-hmm.
start growing a business on social media. And that's where telling your story comes in, which it's something we talked about. When you tell your story, people listen to you.
Yep.
And people find themselves in your story. That's the power of a story. I found myself in your story, even though I was not homeschooled,
Yeah.
but I found myself in your story in the struggle of just trying to achieve anything that I want.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about persistent. I'm not the most persistent person, at least not in every domain, which is something I realized that you don't have to be. You don't have to be persistent on everything. Just, you just need to focus on very, very tiny things and go full. What's the way to say this? Just grab the bulls by the horn of that little thing and just go full speed ahead. And I found myself in your story, even though we basically met for the first time in this recording. We've talked on Twitter, but not like this. And now I feel that I know you a little bit more because of that. And now I trust you a little bit more. And hopefully people hear your story, listen to your story, and say, okay, Joe is someone that I trust. Let me follow this guy. Let me applaud everything that he does. Let me like his stuff. Let me retweet his stuff. Let me share his information with other people. And now your business starts growing. All because you decided on telling your story to the world in a way that's entertaining, in a way that it's inspiring, in a way that it's also educational. Mm-hmm. You have the three of them. You have the formula. It's just repeating it for a year or two. At least that's how social media works. If you tell your story in an entertaining fashion, if you inspire people with your story, and then you teach people how to achieve what you have achieved, you can build an online business with social media. There are many ways to build online business, but this is a way to monetize social media. Right. And I'm glad that you decided on taking this journey of sharing your journey with the world. So what can people expect from you in the next couple of months, let's say, with Improvement Geek?
So I actually have my first ever info product. It's a course called Habits Made Simple that launches in about 20 hours. So it'll be tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Extremely proud of that.
Today is, wait. We need to say today. What day is today? This recording. Today is Monday, July 13th. So by July 14th, this will be available. I will not post this on this week. This is for the next week. Okay. But still, I believe, for how long will you be promoting it?
So I've been promoting the pre-sale, and it comes out on the 14th at noon. And then I'll be talking about it every day or two. I don't want to spam people for sure, of course.
Spam them. It doesn't work. Don't worry. Spam people.
When it's relevant, when I'm talking about habits, if something seems to resonate with people, then I'll happen to mention my course where it breaks down the science of habits and how people can change their habits for the long term in a quick way.
Man, just send me the link. No affiliate, just the link. And I'll put it down below in the description of the YouTube video. Because I love what you said to me. I love your content. It's easy to understand, which is something that I appreciate. Because some people talk about things and I just, what the hell is this person talking about? So you're very good at distilling the the hard concepts and turning them into really simple things that people can understand, and they just read it and they say, okay, that's something I like. And to me, that's something I like too, because English is not my first language and I don't want to learn more English. To me, this is like the most English that you will hear from me. I'm glad with this. I haven't seen any people complaining. So this is what you get forever. I always saw these let's say celebrities on night TV and night shows, and I heard their accent. Latino celebrities I'm talking about, and I hear their accent, and it's very, very Latino, and they talk the English like this, and it sounds very, very. It sounds weird, to be honest. And I was like thinking, why don't they fix that? I realized two things. It's part of their appeal, and maybe they just don't care.
Right.
I'm in the side of, I just don't care. People understand me. That's good enough. Of course, when I'm writing, I'm more thorough because I can explain myself better in writing than speaking, because it's just two different processes. It's not the same thing. To me, writing is just so much easier than speaking the language. But this is what you get. That said, I will add your link to down below. Is there something else that you might want people to listen to in this podcast?
So for the rest of the year, essentially, I'm going to be focusing, once my course is out there, I'm going to be focusing entirely on getting better at being the improvement geek, getting better at things such as clarifying things and distilling the points, making it educational, inspiring, and effective.
Bro, if I were you, I would tweet the before and after picture every day. That will go viral every single time. Really, really, man. I have this, there's a friend of mine, Dennis Mangan, who I met on Twitter also.
Yep.
I remember that I almost I almost forced him to tweet a before and after picture. Before, he was like a really tiny man that you just want to hold and like, okay, let me take care of you, little guy.
Yeah.
And now he looks like the Terminator. And I told him, like, man, post that shit. You will see. Because every time you post something like that, you gain like 1,000 followers in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And he posted that. And of course, he gained the 1,000 followers because people love watching others people win. Even though the world is filled with dark people and dark thoughts and dark things, good is still more common. We just don't see it because the news media doesn't make money with goodness and kindness.
Exactly.
So every time I see someone thriving on Twitter, be it on the online business, posting, those dollars online. I don't do that, but they do it.
Yeah.
And pictures of before and after of their bodies and how they took their time to actually thrive and better themselves and get fit. I always have a smile on my face because I see that people, man, there's something about the human desire to achieve something. Once they decided on achieving something, that always gets me.
Yep.
It always gets me when someone says, I'm gonna fucking do this.
Yep.
And then that person does that shit. There's something that, I don't know if it's inside of us, in our DNA, and everything that leads to who we are, but there's something about watching someone win that just inspires you to want to win. Yep. You get that dopamine shot every time you see that. That's why motivational porn is so it's so effective. But to me, it's always inspiring watching people thrive and watching people win. And that's how I got to meet you. I saw that before and after picture of how you won and how you went from being overweight to becoming who you are right now. Of course, you've had your roller coaster ride, but you've been able to maintain, let's call it a good enough balance in between with your fitness goal. And that to me is inspiring. You are an inspirational dude. Inspirational geek should be another another Twitter handle for you. Inspirational geek sounds good. So I appreciate your time, Joey. Broy. Hopefully we will get to see Broy and Brose someday. And I'm glad that I'm watching your journey. I'm glad that I'm able to be part of at least a little bit of tiny part of your journey, because to me this is just part of the journey.
Right.
To me, you're part of my journey. I'm part of your journey. I'm just glad that you said yes to me being part of your journey. I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate what you're doing. Hopefully, this is not the last time we encounter. Hopefully, this is just the starting point. And people, you need to go follow Joey on Twitter @ImprovementGeek and buy his course. I'm not an affiliate, but buy it. You just heard everything he had to say, and he has proven to be the real deal. And that's a good thing. Even though I already knew it from your content and from the stuff. Man, you have so much information about yourself on online. It was so easy to know who you are. Man, I had my VA, hey, look, track this Joey Dowdy guy and find everything he has. Yeah. And she sent me everything. I think I even have your home address here, man. No, I'm just joking. But man, you have so much information online. But it's good information. It's just where you studied and the skills that you have. Isn't that a little bit like, eesh,
a little bit
scary?
Yeah.
To me, so scary, man. I try to not put a lot of things in social media about where I live and stuff like that. All I say is I live in the Dominican Republic. That to me is enough. So any last thoughts or idea that you would like to tell to our audiences?
If I was told that I could only ever put out one more tweet and then have to abandon my account, we'll say, if I had to send one message to every person, believe in yourself. Work on changing your mindset and believe that you can achieve the things that you want to do. Because the moment that you make the decision to start believing in yourself, you're going to be able to do anything that you want to in life. But then, even better than that, in some ways, you're going to leave a legacy with your life because you're going to influence and inspire other people. Because of what I'm doing, my mom has been losing weight and getting in better health, for example. So just believe in yourself. That's the main thing that I want to leave behind as my legacy, as Improvement Geek or as Joey Dowdy. People need to believe in themselves more.
Man, thank you so much. And
thank you.
See you next time.
Sounds great.
Bye.